We're celebrating the Cash for Schools program here at Community Coffee and awarding checks to all the participating schools who are top earners in our area. This year we had nearly 800 schools not only participate in Cash for Schools program but redeem their proofs of purchase and receive checks from Community Coffee. It's about $320,000 being returned directly into the classroom, and these teachers put it to work for any purpose they choose. It could be decorating a classroom, it could be a teaching garden, a math or science lab, or a field trip. 28 years ago, we recognized the same need we have today, which was a need to embrace education and the funding around education that is always insufficient, particularly at the classroom level. So being a community member myself, having children in school myself, we felt it was important to support education and invest in youth and our future of Louisiana. So it's more than a give back program. This is an earnings program and investment in our future.
And we appreciate you coming, especially braving the weather. We know it was a little bit of a rough ride in this morning. We have some wonderful speakers today. We have a lot of money to give away. We had a great year with Cash for Schools this year. We had over 800 schools participate. We're going to distribute over $320,000 to schools across the area. And our cumulative total is over $6 million. So we're really excited about how involved our schools have been, how well y'all participate. Y'all do an amazing job. So this is truly a celebration of you and your efforts. So we're going to start the program with Matt Siraj. He is the 4th generation owner of Community Coffee.
I first want to introduce the Chief Executive Officer of this company. His name is David Bellinger. Where's David? Is he? There he is. There's David. David is the CEO of the company. He makes all of this possible. Steve France is our Vice President of Sales. Is he here? He was here. And Scott Eckert. He's our Vice President of Marketing. All right. We're busy selling coffee. That's all we do is make and sell great tasting coffee. But these 3 individuals and the folks that report to them really do the groundwork in helping to promote the program, inform you, engage with you, and make this simpler, as simple as it can be. And we're always looking for your feedback, and specifically ask for some feedback on how you got your results. And we want you to share that with us. And as you take photographs or engage your classrooms or your administration or just the school around this event, please share it. It's a social media world, and we want to post with pride your pictures and your stories of what you're doing with these funds. Because as a public school student here in Baton Rouge, I've seen my teachers turn $1 into $3. It's magic how that happens, but I know these monies are well spent and well earned. The reason we do this is really to recognize our communities of friends and neighbors, the communities we live in, our employees live in, all across our marketplace, and specifically that supports education and important work done there every year. We support other philanthropies. We support our military. We support the environment initiatives. But education has been a long-standing commitment of this company for 28 years now. I remember collecting coupons too. And we allocate about 2% of our pre-tax income towards programs like this. But it would not be possible without your work and your leadership at the school level. So thank you very much. I don't want that to fall on silent ears. You all know it and believe it, but I want everyone behind the microphone and cameras to hear it too, because it is individual efforts by you to lead the greater student body and business community to help you along. We know how the program works. We know that it's a collection program, but participation is the primary factor here. And this year, we had almost 800 schools, 796 schools, turned in about 3.3 million proofs of purchase of community products. That's a lot of effort. I've seen, these monies put to work with purchasing even of things like whiteboards, which are very expensive, to planning a butterfly garden behind a school, which is very engaging for students. And we're excited that to have that demonstration of leadership. And to speak a little further about leadership and the importance of education and experience in education, we have a special guest. We have 2 special guests with us here today. The first is Joni Smith, who is the Louisiana Teacher of the Year. I'm glad she's here to join us. She understands the value of education and the need to support it. And Joni, I'm going to invite you, if you don't mind, come up and share a few words.
I just want to say thank you so much for having me today, and I want to make sure I include this in my speech. I am the Louisiana State Teacher of the Year for the years of 2016 and 2017, and I was awarded free coffee for 1 full year. I am the most favorite teacher on my campus because of that. So they have They have been saving children's lives for a full solid year in my school building. So it has been wonderful. And I think that I shared this earlier with Jody, that I'm sure there's many professions that love coffee, but I think teachers trump that. Because there's just something about a teacher and the way we love coffee, right? All the teachers said amen? Amen. Okay, so anytime I speak, I like to open up with a powerful statement from a philosopher. So in the words of the well-known Winnie the Pooh, I'd like to say, you're braver than you believe, smarter than you think, and stronger than you seem. And in that wonderful words to hear, not only as an educator, but also as an administrator and also a student. And so when we hear these enlightening words from maybe not as powerful people as we would have originally thought, it's so inspiring just to have those words mimic inside of our brains. Because we are braver than what we believe, we are smarter than what we seem, and we are stronger than what we may appear. So when we look at our professions on a daily basis and the struggles that we face, they can be difficult, but we have to remember those words of Winnie the Pooh. And so I'd like to share a few stories with you very quickly. I've met a lot of people in my life, but the person I'd like to share a story on is a little girl. And this little girl, she had a very tough childhood. She was raised in a home where there was domestic abuse, and abuse applied to her and her siblings as well. And so in this home, she tried to thrive. She tried to find her place in life. And even at school, it was almost like a safe haven to her, but it was never really a connection. She was the quiet child in the back of her room, or maybe the child that the teachers really didn't focus on simply because she may not have been a problem. And so as this child progressed through life, at the age of 9, a traumatic experience occurred to her. And her father had actually, in the fit of a rage, had taken the life of the mother. And so the little girl, of course, was traumatized by that. And I think about the moment of that experience, how a teacher's role is so important when those traumatic experiences come into place. And so at the age of 9, this child lost their mother and then also lost their father to a life sentence in prison. So the child, along with their sibling, was placed in foster care. And the siblings, unfortunately, with the system, they were not placed together. They were separated. So this little girl, you have to understand, she lost everything in one day. And so you think about the only common factor she had in her life were her teachers. And then also for those teachers to feed back into her. And so in the 3rd grade, she had good teachers, she did. But she would testify that there was never this one dynamic teacher that really took her under her wing and comforted her and loved on her. Because she wasn't a child that was going to tell you her story. Because she didn't want anyone's sympathy. She held her head up strong and she tried to act like Winnie the Pooh and seemed braver than she was. And so she grew up, and in 5th grade, in the foster care system, the teachers started to notice that she had rags, so to speak. Her clothes were dilapidated and they were falling apart. Her shoes were overworn, too small, toes curling up inside the shoes. And so the 5th grade teachers went to the school and got extra funds and applied those funds to that little girl and her siblings so that they could have good uniforms. Well, I'm sorry, this was a time frame when we didn't have uniforms. Good clothing. I'm so used to saying uniform. And of course, buy her new shoes and buy her the needs that she needed so that she wasn't picked on. Because we'd all agree that sometimes kids can be very cruel. And so it made her have a sense of belonging. She fit in with the kids now. Her clothes matched the other kids. Her shoes matched the other kids. She felt like she could hold her head up just a little bit higher. And so those extra funds that were applied into a school system, I'm sure the teachers may not have realized the impact that made just having a nice shirt or a nice pair of shoes, but it did. And so I tip my hat to any organization that will feed back into education, because that little girl stands before you today. And I am so proud of the work that I get to do on a daily basis. I get to sell hope to kids. I put a light in them, and I share my story all the time. And I tell them, you know what, life is tough. It is. It's so hard at times. But you know what? You are braver than what you seem, and you are smarter than what you think. And Winnie the Pooh's words can never be so powerful in my life. This round character that has such a soft-spoken impression about him made such a big impact in my life. And when I look at things that we do on a daily basis as educators, no matter where our role is in a school system, how we feed back into our kids is so powerful. And that impact you're making on a daily basis is highly respected by me and by many others. I would like to share with you, I'm not sure how many of you have ever seen the movie The Pursuit of Happiness by Will Smith. He's a relative of mine. I've never seen any of the money that is owed to me, but we share the same last name and we look just alike. However, there's a scene in this movie, and It gets me every time. You know how you have a movie that just gets you on that one certain scene? Every time it gets me, and I know it's coming, and I still cry. And I want to share with you, I'm going to paint the picture of what the scene is about. He is playing basketball with his little boy, and this little boy is so precious. And they're playing ball, and he's really not doing that great of a job. And he's not really making the baskets. His skills aren't there yet. And the dad says, you know what, son? I'm below average when it comes to basketball. I'm not the best at this sport. So let's be honest. Statistically speaking, you're probably not going to be the best at this sport either. And so, of course, when Dad said that, the little boy got very upset. And he was very introverted about his demeanor. He actually put the ball up. He threw it at first, and then he grabbed the ball and put it inside a bag, and he quit. He gave up in that moment because of the words that were planted into his heart. And so the dad, Will Smith, walks over, my great cousin. He walks over to him and tries to encourage him and says, it was like a moment of reckoning as a parent, because sometimes as parents we make mistakes too. And so he walks over to his little boy and he says this. He says, don't ever let somebody say that you can't do something that you can, not even me. And I love that. As a parent, as an educator, that is so wonderful. Because sometimes we have those voices either in our environment, in our workplace, in our classrooms, no matter where they be. And I love whenever our young people hear that. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do something, because you can. And he goes on to say, if you have a dream, you have to protect it. When people can't do something themselves, they want to tell you that you can't do it as well. Isn't that true? So Will Smith, he couldn't do it. He was very terrible. I mean, he was messing every basket. And so he didn't want to tell his child, no, you can do better than me. I may not be good at this skill. This may not be my forte, but I don't want you to think that this plagues you because I'm not good at it. If anything, as parents, as educators, whatever role we have in this building, we always want best for our children. And actually, we want better, right? We want them to be a better person, a better civilian. We want them to make an impact, right? So whatever position we may have, whether you're a high up person or CEO of a business, you want your children to be even better. So you push them and you encourage them and you tell them, don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't. If you want something, you have to go get it, period. That's the best statement you can tell a child. If you want it, go get it, period. Don't let anything stand in your way. Don't let words stand in your way. Don't let someone's attitude or their perception of you stand in their way. As educators, we sell hope to children every day. And it can be a difficult job at times, but man, is it so rewarding. I've never regretted my decision to be an educator because actually I didn't want to be a teacher. I never grew up thinking I was going to be a teacher. And so God had better plans for me because my path in life changed quickly. And the first day I walked into my classroom, I remember thinking, what am I doing here? I was surrounded by 7th grade middle schoolers, and they had attitudes, and eyes were rolling, and disrespect was flowing, and I had to shut it down quick, okay? And then I thought to myself, how am I going to make such a big difference in this classroom because I loved them before I met them? I remember staring at my roll, looking over their names, and thinking how precious their names were. I hadn't even seen their faces. But then when those attitudes started rolling, you know what I remembered? We were like that at that age. Puberty set in, and we didn't listen to adults very well. We rolled our eyes at teachers, and we blamed everything on the teachers. Now, the home life may have been different because I know that we would have got our butts tore up, right, if we disrespected teachers. But nowadays, it's a little different, a little skewed, unfortunately. However, I look at those kids and I think, this child in my classroom is here for a reason, for a purpose. So if you're an educator in this room, I want to tell you that your role is given to you with a purpose. Those names are in your room with a purpose, and you are that purpose. As we sell hope to our children, I hope for a better tomorrow for each one. And I'm so thankful that today they have you. Thank you to all that you do on a daily basis. Thank you for your work. I know sometimes it can be very stressful at times, right? There's always negative sides to any job, not just teaching. But I'll tell you, the positive outweighs the negative any day. And I'm sure that you would agree with me. To the students in the room, I want to say continue your path. Don't let anything stand in your way, not even voices or words from other people, because sometimes adults can make mistakes too. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much, Community Coffee, for all your efforts. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. We are so proud to have you represent teaching across our state as Louisiana State Teacher of the Year in the words that you share and helping us to really share the message to those who are decision makers, who need to be better informed about what we do, what you do in education, both as a parent and as a teaching professional. So thank you. Last year was the first year that we recognized a special award as the H. Norman Siraj Third Award in honor of our third generation owner, who is my father. This award goes to Louisiana public school teachers that have gone above and beyond to engage students and other stakeholders to create positive experiences for their students, their school, and for their community. Janet Lathrop, a librarian teacher at West Feliciana Middle School in St. Francisville, received this year's award for supporting and promoting reading through her school's library. We're happy to have Janet with us today, and I'm going to ask her if she can come up and share a few words as well. Janet?
I am so pleased and honored to be the first recipient of the Siraj Service Award. I have to be honest, though, it's a service award. I'm a little humble. I serve. I don't stand in front of people and talk. And so when I was asked to speak about myself, I was like, oh, I just can't do that. And I started thinking, you know, we're here to celebrate. And I started thinking about what we were celebrating and who was going to be in the room. Although I don't know you, I know we all have things in common. And that's what I want to speak to you about. I feel like we know the value of taking something small and seeing that it has great impact. And that's what I want to talk to you about. For the past 17 years, I have had the very good fortune to serve as a teacher librarian at West Feliciana Middle School in St. Francisville. I'm daily surrounded by the greatness of our students, our community of students, parents, teachers, and then I get the added bonus of going home to 5 wonderful children and my sweet, sweet serving husband, who is our local elementary school DARE officer, school resource officer. So we are a family who serves. When I reflect on all of my blessings, my profession, my family, I realize that so much all started from something small. So today, I want to talk to you about how we all have that in common. I want to celebrate and encourage us today, because we obviously all see that great things come from something small. There was a quote by John Wooden that said, "It is the little details that are vital. Little things make big things happen." When I think on your successes today, I can't help but compare us to the Community Coffee Company, a company that has taken something so small, a coffee bean, and made it into something so great and vital to my survival every day. This is my 3rd cup. If I'm a little jittery, that's why. I told Lorraine earlier, and thank you, Lorraine, for the suggestion of the Evangeline coffee. It's fabulous. I told her, I said, I start my day with community and I end my day with community. They took something so small. We share this common, all of us in the room share a common bond, and one of our common bonds is that of service. I want to speak to the Siraj family first. Began serving its community of friends almost 100 years ago. Y'all are going to be having a party in a couple of years. I saw that. They started with a small family business, selling coffee and groceries to their neighbors. Well, 4 generations later, they're serving the world. A little dream, a small dream of Mr. Cap Siraj has brewed into a successful industry. Well, I want to speak to myself. When I think about my profession and how it began, I was a special ed teacher 20 years ago. We were starting AR in our school. I love to read, and I happened to be in the library. One of the girls who was in the English class that I supported was with me, and we were talking about a book that we had read. And she was gushing, and I was gushing, and I loved it. And that girl said, "You know what, can I help you? Can I help you with giving out prizes? Can we advertise books together?" And that small conversation that day changed my life, because that began the seed of, you know what, I love being a special education teacher, but I can't imagine what I could do if I could have these conversations with students all of the time. And so that led into me going back to school, becoming a librarian, always knowing I was going to be a teacher librarian. And I stumbled upon the greatest organization, just a small happen chance of going with a friend. She had to give a speech, at the Louisiana Teenage Librarians Association. And I had a library club of about 30 kids, and we would meet during lunch and talk. But through this teen library organization, I saw the power of getting kids together. Not only those who love to read, because not all of them do, but they love their library, they love their schools, and they wanted to promote that. So what started off as this small little conversation with a student has blossomed into this library club of 180 kids. Then we joined this larger state organization where students in grades 6 through 12 come together once a year and celebrate their library, and it's been phenomenal. Now to you. Someone in this room wanted more for your school and your student community, and you were willing to put time and effort in to serve them. Someone realized that you could take this small piece of paper, oh, it's gold. I dig in the trash for these, I don't know about you. And you could turn it in through your service, through your efforts. You could turn it into something big. And some of you are going to get a real big, and by the way, this is not my cash. I'm a teacher. I never have cash, right? I took this from my 16-year-old. Through the generosity of Community Coffee's Cash for Schools program, your service to your students, your school, is going to have a big impact. It is so heartwarming to see so many schools here, educators involved in this program, that you are invested in furthering education and supporting not just now, but the next generation. All of these funds, I don't know how you're going to spend them, but they're going to help support children. They're going to give them access to materials and resources they might not have had. I've already met one. I've got a new librarian friend, and I know how vital these funds are for our libraries. My budget is small, and I'm so grateful for Cash for Schools. Well, the next bond I want to talk about, another thing we have in common, is not only do we have a desire to serve, we're all in the service profession, but we go beyond just doing our jobs. I think all of us in this room, we desire to provide opportunities for other people. Not just to serve them day in and day out, but go above and beyond to give them something a little extra, to have them come alongside us to lead. The Community Coffee Company started small, and they grew their company. They supported their employees, their business partners, just like any good company would do. Their reputation of excellence has spread across our nation, and they've made a commitment to continue to give back to their local communities. With the growth of their company, I mean, they could have just spent the money on themselves, their employees. But what I've seen ever since I've been in education is the generous giving back, providing opportunities and extra funds through their Cash for Schools program, the military match program, which my son was in the military and has benefited from, and the farmer support program. So when I reflect on myself, I could just be the average school librarian, teaching, which is wonderful, promoting books, which is wonderful. But I wanted to do something more because I saw that my students could be more and do more. So my involvement with the Teen Library Association gives my students to be an opportunity to be leaders. I have seen shy, small, 6th grade bookworms turn into bold, well-spoken leaders through the organization that I sponsor. I have to thank Community Coffee so much for honoring me as the first recipient of the Siraj Service Award. Beyond the year of coffee, I was given a very generous award for the Teen Library Association. We're a small organization, students, parents, teachers, librarians, trying to get to convention, trying to support our libraries. So these funds were so appreciated. I was able to offer scholarships this year to our member clubs. I was able to offer scholarships to some of my students who Their parents couldn't pay for them to go to our convention. I was able to buy books, and my students, the highest attendance we've ever had this year. And I watched students connect over their love of books, their love of library. They had meaningful conversations with our guest author, and I got to watch them celebrate their library in their schools. So now we're here to celebrate you today. Your desire to go beyond serving as educators to wanting more opportunity for your students and your school. I'm very curious. I'm curious about two things, actually. How do you get so many of those labels coming in? I'm going to be picking your brain about that. But I'm really curious about the great things that you have in store for your students as you go home with your award check. I want to encourage you, students, those who are here, educators, look at your students as leaders. Seek out their opinion. You've worked, you've served for them. Find out what they think would be the best use of these for their communities. Let them have a voice in the best way to utilize their resources that your efforts are going to provide. I am constantly amazed by the power and the greatness that lies inside of a small child and a teenager. My students' abilities to contribute, create, lead, they never cease to amaze me. And so I encourage you to give them that opportunity as you go back home. Finally, I want to congratulate you again for investing your time and effort into the Community Cash for Schools program. You have shown that you can do small things in a great way. Like the Siraj family's coffee dream, may your small things bring you great flavor. I encourage you to return back to your schools with your reward check and change the culture of your community. Encourage your students, and students, I speak to you, be leaders, make a change, make a difference in your community. Best wishes to your endeavor in making big things happen for your students in your school. And I want to leave you today with some words that I don't know you, but I know they define who we are. They define the work that we do. Never get tired of doing little things for others. Sometimes those little things will occupy the biggest parts of their hearts. Thank you so much.
I believe Janet started by saying that as a librarian, she doesn't get the opportunity to stand and speak in front of people very often, and so eloquently. That was wonderful. Thank you. You're an outstanding representative of the Service Award, and we're really proud that you've set the bar high as the next recipient is considered in future years. So thank you very much. I also want to recognize a special guest who has joined us. That is my mother, Donna Siraj. Donna Siraj, Mom, is really the inspiration behind this program in so many ways, in keeping the program thriving and alive and going. Not only the Community Cash for Schools program, but also the Louisiana State Teacher of the Year program. So thank you very much. Without your drive, we wouldn't be here today celebrating this moment. Thanks. So last year was a tough year for our community, at least here in South Louisiana. We experienced historic flooding. However, we kept collecting the proofs of purchase. I guess they were on the top shelf. You know, we kept them safe. But you know, many families were and still are affected. Certainly our school system was, and a lot of your facilities were. Without a doubt, I think we all were touched by it in some way. And so at no greater time are these monies needed, and we look forward to you putting them to use. Our goal is that this program grows. We have more participating schools. We have more proofs of purchase collected, and we're able to return more funds back into the classroom. So we have high expectations for next year and how we're going to grow the program and grow your participation as well. Now, let's get to the check presentation. Y'all been the kids, you guys are outstanding. You've been attentive, you've been listening, and I appreciate your patience. I really do. You're really outstanding. The first school I have to join us is St. John's School, who earned $2,219. It's a beautiful school. I didn't realize it was established in 1910, but I had the pleasure of visiting there and presenting a check many years ago. All right, so St. Joseph School, $2,257. and from Ponchatoula, Louisiana, established in 1896. All right, Sunset Acres. Is Sunset Acres? Great. All right, $2,330, all the way from Shreveport, Louisiana. You never know when a van load of kids are going to come down from Shreveport, Louisiana to visit us, but it's spring break. So this is a fourth-year participation and plan to use it for technology and field trips. So thank you very much. St. Joseph Catholic Academy, Elementary. All right, there we go. $2,418 from Thibodaux, Louisiana. Catahoula Elementary School, $2,491. St. Martinsville, Louisiana. Thank you. St. Thomas More Catholic School, always a performer, $2,723 for top performers last year as well. So thank you very much. Ernest Gallet Elementary, $2,796 from Youngsville, Louisiana. We have representatives. That's a long trip, and this is the first year to be in the top earners, and so we're going to deliver that check to them personally, absolutely. So I'm going to welcome them to our circle, winner circle. Remental Elementary, $3,000, and I'm saying you've been participating for well over 15 years in the program, so thank you. We're getting very close to the top here. Zachary Elementary, so $3,065, also one of our top performers, and has moved up 4 spots in this year's rankings. So. Congratulations. I mentioned we do keep score. Everybody's competitive. Are you competitive in your collections? Well, you may not be as competitive as St. Aloysius Catholic School at $3,278. Always here, always a top earner. They responded to the challenge. They actually moved up 3 spots from last year, and it's become very competitive at the top of who can collect the most barcodes. And last year, I think Tiffany Meek told me, he says, we're going to be back and we're going to be number 1. You were close. You're number 2. But you moved up. So, but number 1, we really want to recognize outstanding. Before I tell you who it is, this is the second year in a row that this school has been the top performer, and they have entered our program 2 years ago. They've really been just a catalyst for action with collecting barcodes and proofs of purchase and engaging businesses and other things that make it so successful. But this year at $3,895, almost $4,000, is the Church Academy. So congratulations. I'd like to say a couple other things about the Church Academy. This is the 3rd year that they participate, not their 2nd. It's also the 3rd year in existence as an academy, as a teaching school as well. Last year they used funds for Accelerated Reader, AR. I know our teacher librarian, and any other librarians in the room are excited about that, and to promote reading in the school by purchasing books, for their library. They also, collect their proofs of purchase through the church and through businesses, and that really is a key to engage your community. If you look at the needs around the state today and the experience we talked about just with the flooding, but all the challenges that we have, even from a physical, financial standpoint, your business community has open arms. And if they are a customer of ours, they have proofs of purchases. I think you all know that because that's why you're in the room and you get such large numbers. But I think it's very important to recognize that community is bigger than the teaching and the parent and the family community. It's everyone around who wants to see the success of our youth. Okay, so we're going to do one more step. I'm going to ask Jody Connican, and I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you earlier as one of the special people in the room. Jody's going to tell you that she's general manager of communications for our company and has really championed this program for many years now, has done an outstanding job. And I think you all know her because she has contacted each of you individually to speak with you. And now I'm honored to ask you to come say a couple of words as we close today out, Jody.
Thank y'all again so much for coming out. This was a really great year for cash distribution. We also understand it was also a very trying year as far as the schools in South Louisiana especially. So we appreciate that your efforts on top of what you're already going through to continue to participate in the program, and we're excited to be able to give these funds back to you to use in your school system.
I think this is really a recognition of the hard work that goes into the school and the classroom and the engagement of the families and the businesses to support their local schools. That's what makes this program work, and that's what makes education work.
And tell me a little bit about the Cash for Schools program.
Cash for Schools program offers the community and schools to earn money for different programs that they have in their school, and it's a great way to give back. We appreciate everything that Community Coffee does for that. I motivate people to get involved and to turn in their labels. just asking for business owners that are involved in the church or the school to turn in their labels and help us out. Because it's a great opportunity to just raise money for your school for different programs. It funds library programs, books, any kind of special projects that the schools are working on, playground equipment, things like that. Just appreciate Community Coffee doing this. It's such a great opportunity.
Information about Community Cash for Schools program is available at communitycoffee.com, and you, of course, can call the 1-800 number on any of our packages. We'd love to tell you more about it.